I hope everybody is having a fantastic Monday morning. Mine started a little bit awkwardly, I have to say, but today I had to remind myself that it isn't, I can't define my entire day by the first, hour of my day. But for those of you who haven't met me, before I get started with that, let me introduce myself. My name is Evelyn Knight. I am the host of the Childcare Business Coach podcast. I'm also the founder and CEO of Childcare Business Professionals, which is a company that helps owners and directors find success and gain profitability while having high research-based standards that are best for the children. So it is possible to get there. I promise. I've done it. As an owner myself and a former director, I used to think I couldn't do it, but it is possible. I have done it, and I do help other people achieve that. I'm also a child care center owner just like you. So I do have a center of my own. I'm in the trenches. I know what it's like to have just sign my check on a payroll or send my name to payroll checks. So that's what makes me a little bit unique from the rest of the coaches out there, is that I am currently an owner, and I have been for about 15 years now. So back to what I was saying in the beginning. What I do every Monday morning, you guys know, is I work on mindset. And I'll tell you, this morning my mindset was a challenge for me. My first thing in the morning every day, I get up, put my dogs out, and then I go and make my tea. I'm not a coffee drinker, I'm a tea drinker. And I've got this cute fancy teapot. And the first thing that happened to me this morning was I dumped the entire teapot. And I drink a lot of tea, so I don't make just a cup, I make a whole pot. Dump the whole thing, dump the whole pot of tea, and it just everywhere, first thing. So first thing I tell myself is, it's okay. I'm not going to define the first minute, first 5 minutes of my day is not going to define the rest of my day. So then the next thing I know, clean that up, everything's good. My son was running for school, he's like, Mom, the dryer didn't work. I got up early this morning and did laundry and my clothes aren't drying. Like, oh great, dryer's not working. Now let me tell you, I have a freezer broken, a refrigerator, everything's breaking all at once, right? So then I'm just like, it's okay. My day is not defined by the first 30 minutes of my day. So then I go to pour some water and my water cooler is broken. I'm like, it's okay. And then as I'm walking, hear my husband on the phone. He got a phone call. It's kind of an emergency, really early in the morning. It's one of those other people's type of emergencies. And I'm just had to tell myself, just because the first hour of my day is going this way, just because everything I'm doing is just not falling in line, does not mean my entire day is going to be a bad day, right? So it's just important to remind ourselves of those things every day, that we cannot define an entire day. We're awake for 14 hours on average, right? We cannot define a 14-hour day based on the first hour of the day. So I refuse to let that happen today, and so far it's been good. It hasn't been bad. But that is not what I want to talk to you guys about today. I just wanted to give that as an example of just staying in that right mindset. But what I really want to talk about today is far more important at this point than just, your first morning mindset, right? It's actually morning mindset is very important. So I don't want to say it's more important because it really does catapult your entire day. But what I really want to talk to you guys about today is advocacy. This is the week for the public policy. It's public policy week. So the NAEYC is hosting the public policy forum, and which I'm a part of. And so I want to just talk to you guys about how important it is that we advocate for ECE, especially right now. Right now, there's so much going on that we absolutely have to advocate. And I actually am going to be in that forum in about 20 minutes, so I'm going to have to make this short. And I will give you guys a lot more information. Good morning, Ria. How are you? And yes, please give me your comments. I love the interaction, you guys. So let me know that you're here. Say hello. Give me comments. But I want to tell you a little bit about what we started yesterday with Public Policy Forum. And I might jump on here and give you guys summaries every day because advocacy is so important. I've been an advocate for a while. I get myself on the news. I do a lot of different things to make sure that our industry is being seen and heard. And that is something we need a lot more of us out there in ECE to do. Right now is the perfect time. ECE is in the forefront of the news because of the pandemic, right? But we need to stay there, right? What's going to happen when the pandemic is over? Are people still going to be talking about early childhood education? Are they still going to see as essential, right? Right now, Congress and everybody is understanding that, oh, a lot of us were mandated to stay open, and they also saw that when we closed, the essential workers had nowhere to take their children, so they couldn't work, right? So we're finally starting to get recognized as an essential industry. Kind of, right? It's starting, but we need to do the work to make sure it keeps going. That is on our shoulders, you guys. It is not up to the world out there to see us for who we are. It is our job to get the word out there and to show everybody who we are. So that is really what I want to encourage you guys to do today. Even if you're not involved in the public policy, what a lot of us are doing right now, this week, those of us who are involved in NACY's public policy forum, is we are meeting with senators, congressmen, and like tomorrow, or I'm sorry, Wednesday, I will be talking, like for me, Nevada, I'm in a meeting with a congressman and a senator, right? Even if you're not involved in these things, you can still send them emails. I will put a link in the comments on where you can find your representative's email information and send them an email. It does help. When their staff people do read through these emails, the staff people are really the ones who are going to the senators and the congressmen and telling them, hey, this is what you need to do. If enough of us are getting our word out there, if enough of us are telling our stories and really getting that attention, we can make a difference, and we can make sure the ECE stays in the public eye, right? We need to make sure that we keep our message going. After this pandemic is over, we need to make sure we keep our message going, right? So a couple tips that I have that I heard yesterday that were really insightful is we need to tell stories. We need to get out there and you need to tell your story. Put an email together, tell your story, right? Make sure it's not too long though. One of the things that I learned, my first round in college was for technical writing. And one of the things that I've learned about writing is you have about 5 seconds to capture someone's attention and about 30 seconds to keep it. So when you're writing these emails, construct an email and then kind of go back and take all the filler words out. Any adjectives, adverbs, all the pretty language, take it out. Just get to the point. You want that email to be 30 seconds. So it's hard, but you can do it, I promise. You're just going to tell your story really quick. I am struggling because I cannot keep staff due to this, period, right? Or I cannot pay my full payroll costs because enrollment is down due to the fact that we are now at 50% capacity, right? So you can still tell your story without it being this long, drawn out. Just get to the point, okay? Try to make it personal though and emotional, right? But getting to the point is the most important thing. The next thing is we need to talk about money. I know in our industry, we always jump to, it's not about the money and I'm not into this for the money. You gotta get that out of your mind. If you have that problem, watch last week's video I did about money mindset. You've got to change your money mindset. What we need to understand is our senators and congressmen, they're dealing with these bills that are $13 billion. When we go to them and say things like, hey, I need bleach, or I'm really not in this for the money, but what are they thinking? I mean, think about that for a second. When you've got somebody who's dealing with a $13 billion bill and you're going to them and saying, yeah, I need bleach. Do you think bleach is going to be a priority? Do you think hospitals go to them and say, oh, we don't have bleach, right? That's not what they're going and saying to them. They're not complaining they don't have gloves. They're complaining about the big stuff, right? Like the big machines and the things that cost thousands of dollars. The other thing is, you never hear a hospital saying, we're not into this for the money, right? No, you don't. So take that language out and talk about the big stuff. I need to pay my payroll. That is thousands of dollars, right? I need to be able to sustain my business and pay my operating expenses, okay? Operating expense, it's the big picture. We need the thousands of dollars, not $5 to go buy bleach, right? So remember that. Put it in perspective. Who are congressmen dealing with, right? So when you go to them and say, oh, I'm not in this for the money, and when you come with those negative phrases about money, you're putting them off, Okay, so don't be afraid to tell your story, and don't be afraid to embrace the fact that we need money in early childhood education. A lot of we complain so much about not being seen and not being heard, and not being able to pay our staff enough. But then we say things like, I'm not in this for the money, right? So think about that. We do it to ourselves so often. The problems we have and the lack of recognition, we do it to ourselves. So when you're constructing your emails, and maybe, you know what, I will talk to some of my colleagues to see if we can put a blanket email out there for you guys that you guys can maybe just go and tweak, okay? So that everybody can get an email in, because this week is the week. Their attention is out there. We want to be heard. The more of us that are heard, the better off we are. So we really want to tell them thank you for the money we have had, right? The CARES Act, it's been awesome, but it can't stop, right? A lot of it got us through last year. We got a lot of money through the CARES Act. We got a lot of money through the PPP. I'm hoping you guys did. Nevada did an amazing, wonderful job at getting us the money, like us childcare centers, the money from the CARES Act. Hopefully your states did too. If they didn't, that is something you guys need to write about. You need the money, not the public school system, right? We do, the private sector. So we need to, of course, acknowledge that and thank them for that, but make sure we say it's not enough. It's not enough. We need to make it through this year. They're saying we're still going to be living through this pandemic and not everybody's going to be fully open through 2022, right? We know before the pandemic, our industry was already in trouble. We already couldn't pay our staff enough. The pandemic just made it worse. So our problems aren't going to go away just because of the pandemic being gone. So we need to keep that going, right? The thing we also really need to say going on that is it's time for us to sustain and invest in a sustainable system for ECE, right? So that's just, you can't forget this when this is done. You cannot forget about us. We are still here. The other thing too is reach out to your local news stations, right? Go on there, find out who are the educational correspondents, whatever, or email all of them. It doesn't matter. Get your center on the news, right? And be prepared. We did a session yesterday for the Public Policy Forum that was talking about getting on the news and about being interviewed. And they were saying, like, there's a lot of reporters who actually really want to go in childcare centers because we are a hot topic right now. But one of the problems that they are running into is that center owners and directors are automatically like, oh, no, you can't come here, you can't come in here. Because of the children, we have to protect the children. So one of the things that they said is they are very well aware that they need to protect the children. And they will absolutely work with us to make sure the children's faces are scrambled out. And I can tell you guys, I've been on the news a couple times. I've had the news at my center a few times. And it's something I do. I email them, get them out there all the time. And they make sure they blur anybody out, or they're really also good at just recording the backs and different things like that of the children, or even just the other thing that they really like, I've noticed, is they like the sound. So sometimes they'll be interviewing me and just have the background sound, right, where you can hear the children playing in the background and you hear everything going on, but the kids are not actually in the view. So don't worry so much. But when you go to them, you want to make sure you tell them your concern, right? So email, tell your stories, say it, tell your struggle. The PPP helped me so much, but here we are almost a year later and the struggle is starting again. I'm still at 50% capacity because group sizes have changed, because of mandates and this, that. We need more money, right? So go to them. Also talk about the vaccine is a great topic right now, right? Where we can talk about like why, I mean, in my state, we were listed as one of, but you guys in some of your states may not have been listed as top priority for the vaccine, right? So that's another thing, like why aren't we prioritized? Even if you don't believe in the vaccine, what I want to stress to you guys is the priority. Were your child care centers a priority when it came to the vaccine? Because that just says, how is your state viewing ECE, right? So that's another way you can get on the news. The fact that the job pool is really hard for us right now, that's another one. The way that they've done unemployment makes it extremely difficult for us to hire right now. So there's another topic. And then just tell your stories. Is there something that personally happened to you? Right, because you're at 50% capacity and maybe you never saw a single case of coronavirus in your center, right? Just find your story, email it to different news outlets, and see if you can get an interview. When you send those emails out, send it to somebody that you've seen them doing education stories, and say to them, if this isn't in your field of expertise, can you please refer me to who may be able to cover this story, right? And get yourself on the news. And if you do, let me know. Please let me know. Give me a comment, post it on the page. But the more of us who get our stories told, the more we're in the news, the more we're in front and center, the better off we are. Right? And we need to keep it going. Right now, though, is a great time for us to take advantage of the position we're in, since we are a trending topic, right? But even after this, we just need to make sure we just keep that momentum going, and we need to keep ECE at the forefront. So that's pretty much, let me look at my notes really quick. I think that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Like I said, I'm in another public policy forum that's happening here in 10 minutes. So I have to make it short and sweet today, but I will check in with you guys every day just to let you know how it's going, what you can do to advocate for ECE. It is absolutely vital that we all advocate for ECE. We really need to make sure that we stay in the limelight right now. It's an excellent opportunity for our industry. And also, one last thing, I know a lot of us, and I included, we become terrified of letting the government in, right? Because look at the public school systems. That's all I have to say. We're 33rd in the world for quality public school. The last thing I want is for early childhood education to get to that level. I mean, the ECE world in the United States, our quality is so much higher than the K through 12 world that it really does scare me. Government coming in scares me because I'm so afraid our quality will become like the public school system's quality, and it'll just take our industry. But when we advocate and when we have our voice heard, when all of us are out there talking about this, it can make the change. We can help establish the system so that we don't have to fear these things, that we can maybe privately, fund us in the private instead of the public. So that's where I'm going to leave with you guys on that today. Again, I'll try and see if we can construct some kind of letter that everybody can just use as a template. I'm sure there's one out there. I'll look and see. I'm sure NACY has one already. And then, follow NACY, hashtag NACY PPF is what it is right now. You can see what's going on with public policy. And I'll bring you guys quick briefs every day this week just to let you guys know, well, up until Wednesday. Wednesday's the last day. Of what's going on, how we're progressing, and how you guys can help advocate for ECE. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody.